Anyway, so we're going to jump into the cards. For those that are new, Tea and Tarot, every 2 weeks, I go to the Oracle cards. I don't go in with any intention other than what's happening with us for the next 2 weeks and allow the information and the energy to come through and the messages to come through. So even if you're capturing this not live and you're listening to the recordings, you might find they're still relevant because I set the intention that the messages that come through are for everybody. So there might be times where I'm talking about something and you're like, oh, that's for me. And it might be because I set that intention ahead of time that if you're looking for something, if you need clarity on something, if you're struggling with something, that you'll get some answers today. So just take a moment, set the intention. If there's something you need to know that it's going to come through today, in my Tea and Tarot ramblings in my living room. I'll be back in the trailer in the spring. I was looking at getting another trailer, but I decided to, just wait until the new year. Anyway, welcome. Lots of new cards, more new cards for those who haven't been here in a few weeks. In a couple months, I have lots of new cards, and I also have extras that I'm selling now. So if you see a deck that you love, you can always message me later. I might have extras. I feel like I'm being pulled to the animal spirit cards first thing straight out of the gate. So it's a spirit animal oracle. And I just want you to know, because I think it's great if this ever happens for me, but I buy all my cards. I don't get free cards from anybody. So me talking about somebody's cards, this is not an advertisement. This is actually me loving the deck. So I just thought I should say that. But if down the road, if somebody wants me to use their deck and talk about it and I love it, I will. But these are all like, I've bought them myself. Anyways. Also too, I wanted to talk about cards because my very first tarot card deck that I got when I was younger, I think I was 16, 17 years old, I didn't resonate with it at all. And I put it on the shelf and I didn't touch cards again for almost a decade, maybe a bit longer. It kind of put me off cards. So if you have a deck that you bought that you just don't like or you didn't connect with it, don't give up on decks. Just keep trying. You'll find that deck that you connect with, and that will be the thing that changes everything for you. Okay, you know what? Really weird. I found them out to see which card, and it's like this top one. So Bat Spirit. Ooh. To the Bat Cave. Okay, Bat Spirit. So bats for me, and it's funny because it says a rebirth is assured on the bottom of the card as it flies out of my hand. But for me, bats are about rebirth. Sometimes people, when they see owls, they think owls are a symbol of death. Someone's going to die, the end of life. For me, when bat appears, it's a similar kind of energy. It doesn't mean someone's going to die, but it means that something is ending. So it's a completion of a cycle. And then a rebirth is coming. But when the ending happens, sometimes we don't know the rebirth is coming. So for those of you that are ending a cycle or going through something where it feels like the end of something in your life, it can be very ungrounding. It can make you feel, frightened because we fear the unknown. And if you can't see the future that's coming for you and you're in the middle of the ending of something, it can cause a real panicky feeling. But the message here is to just hold steady and keep faith because the rebirth or the new beginning is coming. And it's always better than what you've left behind. I know it's really hard to let stuff go because you can't see what's coming. And it's sort of like, I need to just hold on to something. And we do this all the time with jobs, with relationships, with our physical stuff. We think, I'm never going to have that thing again. Well, you will. You're going to have that thing and better if you can just release the old. So for the next couple of weeks, the focus is on letting go. Okay, so if you have a hard time doing that emotionally, mentally, start with cleaning out a cupboard. I've talked about this in the past, how our physical body and our emotional, spiritual, mental bodies are all connected. And if you can't do the one, like if you're, let's say, yoga will help you, but you don't want to do yoga because you're in a miserable mood, then clean out a junk drawer or do something that you can do to get the energy shifting. But a rebirth is coming for those who just hopped on. Bat card, Bat Spirit, energy about transformation. Okay, so also too, the bat for me is when it comes up, it usually draws attention to my sleep cycle because bats are nocturnal. And for me, when bat shows up, it's sort of spirit saying to me, okay, you've become a bit nocturnal and that's okay, but you might want to kind of get back into your, rising with the sun and then going to bed at a decent time. And it's true because I have been kind of doing the 3 a.m. nights the last few days. So for those of you who haven't been sleeping or have been staying up too late, it's also a sign to sort of think about that because that does affect you overall. I find if I do that too much, it really over time knocks me off my groove. So I love bats too, Shelley. I'm not afraid of them. But they are kind of like little flying rodents, I guess. Anyways. All right, let's move on. I'm being drawn to mermaids. I just, when I say I'm being drawn to a card deck, what does that mean? Well, I kind of look at all of my stacks of decks that are around me, and one will sort of light up, or it will have a glow around it. Sparkly, I guess that's the best way to describe it. So when it lights up, it's sort of like, pick me. For those who remember the Shrek movie with Donkey jumping up and down, it's like, pick me, pick me. That's what my cards do. And that's what they do when I open them up as well. And I know some of you have been asking me for an Oracle card course, and I almost have it ready. It will be ready in the new year. It will be online. So if you're interested in that, just message me. It's going to probably be a 4-week evening program. Communication, and I think we might have pulled this last week or last month. This one has come up before, absolutely, communication. Interesting. So this mermaid is under the water and she's near a turtle, okay? And so it's about communication. This card is about communicating with someone that you might have difficulty with, or someone that's different than you. So this isn't about communicating with your good friends or the people that understand you. This is about paying attention to the communication between you and someone that maybe you're not always on the same wavelength. And I feel like this card is coming up because it's sort of signaling for us to be gentle in our communication and to also double check things. Like, don't assume that email got sent or that text got sent, or don't assume somebody's tone. This card of communication is sort of highlighting that and saying, be clear in your communication. And if you're not sure, or if you're assuming how somebody feels or something that someone said, then check in with them and ask, rather than having the hurt feelings or the assumptions or the things that can happen when you take things the wrong way. And because we're not meeting in person as much as we used to, a lot of our communication is virtual or via text, and it can cause problems. So with the communication, just notice over the next 2 weeks, just be aware of that and always check in with your people. Don't ever assume something. I know I'm intuitive. I pick up on vibes. I get vibes off emails and stuff like that. But even sometimes if I'm not fully present, or if I'm in, an emotional state or whatever, I take things the wrong way all the time. And I'll think it's my intuition, and it's not. It's just my emotional body. So it's always good to ask. And if someone doesn't want to tell you, they won't, but at least ask to try and get that clarity, okay? So don't assume anything over the next 2 weeks. Magdalen Oracle was jumping out at me. It's this deck here. I've had this deck for a while. I really love it. I really love Tony's illustrations. I have a few decks, and I really am drawn to the artwork. And that's an important thing when you choose a deck, that you're drawn to the artwork, that you're drawn to the energy of the cards. And it doesn't matter what the deck looks like, but you have to feel it for the deck. You have to want to spend time with it. Okay, Illumination. It's kind of a sad looking card, but I'm not getting a sad energy from it. For me, this card is about going in deeper. So I've talked about this in the past, about going into ourselves, finding our center, connecting to yourself for that creativity, connecting to yourself for that healing and to recharge your vitality. And this card is very much about going into that spiritual part of yourself. And this is a tough one because we avoid this. Like, we really do avoid going in and connecting to our divinity, which is unfortunate because when we do have that connection and we surrender and we actually connect to it, we always feel better. We always feel really good. But sometimes the avoidance comes because there's emotion between you and sort of your divinity. Like you have to kind of peel back the layers or have some emotions that come to the surface. Maybe some grief, maybe some anger, maybe, you know, whatever it is. And there's this fear of, oh, I just don't want to go there. I don't want to feel that. So I'm going to avoid meditating, or I'm going to avoid all the practices that I normally do that keep me connected to myself. And we do things that pull us outside of ourselves. And it's really easily done in the world we live in. We have our technology, which keeps us connected, but it also pulls you out of yourself. So I feel like I'm always saying this in every tea and tarot, but get outside. But I'm a big believer that nature heals, and nature brings you naturally back to your center with very little effort. So if you can drag yourself outside and just walk around the block or get to a tree, or if you can't, if you're having a terrible time, then just lay down on the ground, on your floor, get a blanket and a pillow, connect to the earth, close your eyes, and imagine you're in a beautiful place in nature that you love, okay? When you think about some of the best memories you've ever had in your life, you know, where you feel good and restored and connected, probably most of them are when you're outside, in the forest, laying on a beach, in the mountains, because it's our place. It's how we recharge. So this card is coming up and talking about going in, but because we kind of avoid it, right? Find a way for you to get in. And it doesn't have to be sitting in quiet meditation. I mean, to be honest, very rarely do I have time to sit around with candle and just meditate. I'll do my meditative state of mind when I'm going for a walk or going for a run, or even when you're creating something, washing the dishes, folding laundry, making a meal. You can do that and be present. You can do that and be in your center. So any meditations that will help bring you there, I've got some free ones on my website you're welcome to try out. There's tons online. We are living in a wonderful world where there's so many great free resources out there, so use them. But this is about going within, because that's where your power is. So you can try and like fix your life or fix yourself by going to things outside of you forever, and nothing is going to be as effective as finally going home to yourself, okay? And Spirit really wants you to do this and will support you in this. And yes, it can feel scary. And that's why there are people like me in the world that are working as healers and spiritual guides for people, because we know how hard this is. And we can help kind of guide you to that place so that you can eventually get there and do it yourself. That's the whole point. It's not to see people forever. It's to get people from A to B. And then once they're at B, they're on their merry way, right? So Illumination, this is about connecting to yourself for your intuition, because we are going through a shift in the next month where things are going to get really ramped up. So for those of you who don't feel very intuitive, you might have some weird things happening. Don't be alarmed. It's just your third eye expanding, okay? For those sensitive folks out there, I feel you. I'm one too. You're going to feel more stuff. So try to, in the next week, if you can, get a routine in place. Get a routine of support in place so that you can stay grounded, stay centered, ride the wave of that high frequency energy, which is going to help expand your intuition. And then you can like make the most of this energy, because it's really beautiful energy, okay? It's kind of like surfing. You're either on the board and you're riding the wave, or the board whacks you in the head and you're stuck in the undertow. And I'd love for all of us to be surfing on the wave, not under it, okay? So do what you need to do to kind of like get a routine in place for yourself. All right, I'm being drawn to this deck, Keepers of the Light. And I've mentioned this deck before. I was not drawn to the cover of it. When I saw it, I was like, I don't know. I don't know. I'm a visual person. I have to feel it for the pictures. But I really love the inside of the deck. So that's just a good example. You can't always judge a deck by its cover art. So it's called the Keepers of the Light. And Mother Mary is the card that I pulled today. And Mother Mary, for me, is the heart chakra and peace and love, which actually is on the card here, the words on the card. Mother Mary, to me, I connect her to like the energy of the rose, and I do a lot of aromatherapy stuff, and I create my own blends, and I'm actually sort of kind of crazy in my kitchen doing that lately. I won't even show you my kitchen. It looks like a bomb went off in there. But rose essential oil is so good for healing trauma of the heart. And not just rose essential oil, but roses in general. Wild roses, rose petals. If you're healing any kind of heart stuff, whether it's anger or judgment or self-judgment or lack of self-love or just sadness or heartbreak or shock or anything like that that's happened to your system that's affected your heart or your emotions, rose, okay? So get yourself some roses for yourself, and then when they're kind of, they get a little wilty after a couple days in the vase, then just take the petals and put them in your bath, or get some dried rose petals, throw them in your bath, and just have a flower bath. When I lived in the jungle in Peru, we would have these baths with flowers and different plants, and it wasn't just like something pretty we did. It was actually a medicine. The medicine and the energy of the plant is coming to help you. So Mother Mary is that energy of the heart and of allowing that to open up and heal. But that's sort of our vulnerable place. It's kind of like, oh, we want to heal, but we're like, nobody's allowed in there. So roses can help connect you to that, to help you gently sort of unravel some of that stuff. So for those of you who are also into aromatherapy and have essential oils, you'll know that rose is very expensive, but you could get the absolute, or even get some rose water, which is a byproduct of the distillation process. And rose water is really beautiful. You can put it in a spray bottle and just spray it on yourself, spray it on your linens before you go to sleep at night, add a bit to your bath water, or even just energetically, virtually through meditation, connecting to the energy of roses. And also you can call in Mother Mary if you resonate with her energy and ask her to help heal and balance your heart. So some of you are, maybe not all of you, but some of us are healing some deep stuff. And here's the kicker, okay? You might think you've dealt with it already. Like, I do healing work, I do a lot of self-healing, and I still have layers come up, and I'm like, really? This is from 10 years ago. Like, come on. But it does, right? We have layers. And so be gentle with yourself. Don't judge it. Just, allow this stuff to come in and out. Be gentle. Use roses to help heal the heart stuff. We have a lot of heart stuff because we love people, right? And, friendships, relationships, families. We have relationships all the time, even with our beloved pets. And sometimes our heart gets broken. Someone leaves the planet, the relationship ends. Maybe it was by choice, maybe it wasn't. It's still something you have to process through and work through. So be gentle with yourself, be loving with yourself. Don't be impatient with your process. I'm very guilty of that. I like to do things quickly, and so sometimes I get frustrated when things take time, and that's something I'm always working on. So be gentle with yourself in your process, okay? It's not a race. Okay, next deck. Ooh, this one. So the Wild Offering Oracle. This deck doesn't have pictures for those that are new. I think I've used this the last couple of weeks. The cards are still sticking together a bit because it's so new. So it's words. But I love this deck. So, all right. I should have smushed it around a bit better, but let's go here. Okay. Independence. Woohoo. All right, independence. The more you learn to feed yourself on the inside and care for the inner child, the more freestanding you become. Okay, so independence isn't about ditching everybody in your life. And when it talks about the inner child, that's very connected to that last card about talking about going into the heart and healing the heart, because a lot of our first injuries and wounds that happen and traumas happen when we're children. And it could be something really small. We could look at it with our adult mind and say, oh, that was no big deal that happened. Like, why was I even upset? But as a child, especially if you're sensitive, small things can be really big things. And as a parent, you can't protect your children from that. Like, things are going to happen to them. It's just life. And that's how we learn and that's how we grow. But some of our traumas or some of our fears that we have now, or reasons we keep our heart closed now as adults, it's because of something that happened as a child. And it might not even be related to what's going on in our life now. So healing that inner child, or when you go into the heart and heal the heart, what happens is all the layers, all of those timelines get shifted and healed and balanced. So when you work on yourself in the present, you're also healing that little person version of yourself from the past, and also your future, okay? Because time and space are sort of like, well, they're not real, but they're happening simultaneously. So know that when people talk about the inner child, you're always healing the inner child whenever you do healing work on yourself. But if you know specifically that a lot of your past or a lot of your present issues are linked to your past, then setting the intention to send healing to yourself in the past as that child can go a long way. So recognizing that, because when you're free, like the card's about independence, and independence, we think of it as being free. It's not being free of other people. It's not ditching everyone in your life and being like, peace out, I'm out of here. It's about being free from your fears, free from your limitations, free from your past pain, so that you can go into your future unencumbered by all that heaviness. We don't have to drag it through our whole life. We have the experience. We learn from it. Take the wisdom from it. Leave the rest behind. I joke about this in my Reiki class. I'm like, it's like a big pile of elephant poop. And you're taking the little pearl or the little diamond from it and bringing that forward. You don't need to drag the poop into the future. Nobody wants to do that. I don't care how much toilet paper you've hoarded for COVID. You don't want to drag poop into your future. If you take anything from today, take that. Oh, God. I did put a little bit of caffeine in my coffee today because my decaf was low, so I added a bit of caffeination, and probably was a bad idea. It's going to get crazier as we go. Anyway, I'm going to have a sip and just take a breather here. Okay, Lighthearted Tarot, my new favorite tarot deck. It's funny because I haven't made actual bar soap in a while, but I used to make soap all the time. And I'd have my favorite bar in the shower, and then I'd make a new one. And it would be so amazing. I'd kick my old favorite bar out of the shower and be like, this is my new favorite. And I feel that way about this tarot deck. I've kind of like ignored all my past tarot decks. So they're just getting dusty. But it's called the Lighthearted Tarot. And I don't know why. I just love it. So sometimes you'll find a deck and you're like, I don't know why. But anyway, so we're going to this one. I just feel like it vibes with me. Like it gets me, you know? It's like that really good friend or that partner that just knows you almost better than you know yourself. If that's even possible, I don't know. Okay, 8 of Pentacles. Ooh, so many things going on. Some of you are going to be like, what do I do next? And I know we're getting into the holidays, and that's crazy time energetically anyway, because it feels like there's stuff happening. But this is, see this girl here? Pardon me, sorry, I found my throat. Okay, so you see all those little balls in the air attached to the streamers? And see all that stuff in front of her and how she's holding a candle? Okay, so all the stuff in front of her are the things that she already has, that she's using, like her sacred items, her altar, all of her things in her life that she wants to keep. And she's sort of looking at them all. And the balls represent, sorry, I'm just going to take a sip, represent things that are ideas still. They haven't manifested yet. She has a lot of them, okay? She has a lot of ideas. And the stuff in front of her looks a bit cluttered, like she's not using that either. So this card is coming up to say to you, streamline, okay? Pick one thing. Start with the one thing. Do the one thing, and then move on to the next thing. Those ideas and those things aren't going anywhere. I'm a big believer in journaling and writing things down, whether it's through your phone and your notes or on actual paper. Does anyone use paper anymore? I don't know. Write all your ideas down. Get them out of your head. Write them down. Put a date on it and just tuck it away. You can revisit that, but then you've sort of created the space in your head so you don't have to hold the idea all the time. It's like on paper, you've saved it. It's safe. It's there, and you can go back to it. But try to focus on one thing at a time right now, because we're going to be getting a lot of information and energy coming to us over the next couple of weeks. So some of you might be getting brilliant ideas for all kinds of things. You might be like, oh my God, that's a great business idea, or I should be doing this, or I should be doing that. And if you start going down too many roads at the same time, it's going to disperse your energy and you won't be able to follow through, and then you'll get exhausted, and then you'll be like, that was a bad idea. It's not that it was a bad idea. It's just Spirit saying to us right now, try to pick 1 or 2 things and focus on those things first, and then the next step, and then the next step. Okay, that's hard for some of us. That's really hard for me. I am always doing things simultaneously. So it's a message for me as well. So for those of us that get lots of ideas and get creative and then sometimes get overwhelmed in our creativity, it's time to streamline and focus. okay? And this is true for even just life stuff. For some of you who, maybe you're the person in your house who's in charge of planning everything for Christmas. And I know with COVID, Christmas is different this year, but I know in the past with me being the mom, you know, organizing the meal and family gatherings and all the gifts, and did I get the gifts and where did I hide them and can I even find them to wrap them? For those of you with little kids, I don't know, I was so sleep deprived. I'd find stuff in the summer that I had tucked away for Christmas. I had to hide it really well because my kids were, you know, I had 3 boys and they'd get into stuff. I even had to take stuff in bins to my mom's house so they couldn't snoop because I was like, there's no snooping. But anyway, lots of stuff going on this time of year other than just your stuff, everybody's stuff. So if you're one of those people that feels like you're managing all of those things, try to delegate or ask for help, like, or break it down for yourself so that you don't get too crazy, because the energy we're coming into is wonderful for getting ideas, for just sitting there and getting these genius ideas, but it's not great for doing all of the ideas. Okay, just like 1 or 2 at a time. So hopefully that makes sense. I love all the ideas. I'm going to ignore that advice and do everything anyway. And if I look like crazy in 2 weeks, you'll know why. So hopefully you guys will take that and do what's right. Okay, this is the Starseed Oracle, which is a new deck, and I also really love it. I'll show you the cover of it. I do have some extras of these if anyone's interested. And for local people, I'm having a sale at my house this weekend. So there's information on the circleoflightwellness.com website. I'm having people sign up to shop so that, you know, it's a little space and then we don't have to worry about anything. Okay, so the 7 Star Sisters, this is about birthing creation, it says. I'm getting the vibe that it does have to do with creativity, but to me this card is about collaboration. So for those of you lone wolves out there that are used to doing things by yourself and creating by yourself and operating your business by yourself, and you know, you're like, I can do it myself. I don't need to buy that course or get that help or go for that session or do, you know, I'm just let me do it myself. And I'm pretty good at doing stuff myself, I'll be honest. I if I want to figure out how to do something, I just figure out how to do it and I do it. Doesn't always end well. So sorry, I'm clearing my throat chakra today. I need to om later and I let it go. So this is about collaboration. This is about getting together with some people in your life that you might know already and brainstorming with them. Maybe you've got a problem or something you're trying to solve and you can't solve it because it's from you. It's your problem. But when you tell it to another person, they're like, oh, well, try this, this, and this. And you're like, oh my God, that's genius. So this is about reaching out, asking for help, maybe taking that course, maybe learning that new thing, being open to doing things a different way. And collaboration is key here. There's going to be a lot of evolution and growth when you sync your energy with someone else's. And it doesn't have to be paid collaboration. Like I talked about taking a course or hiring somebody. It can be just simply listening to your significant other and actually listening to what they say instead of going, yeah, I know everything already. Like, and being like, oh, maybe they do have good advice. Who knows, right? So being open, just being open to advice from other people if you're struggling with something, but also for support. It's about connecting and teamwork. That's probably the best word to describe it. It's about teamwork, working together. How are we doing? We're doing good so far? All right, I'm going to the Sacred Destiny Oracle next, which is a new deck to me. I think I had it last time. I have so many decks. I feel like I feel bad when I ignore some of them, but I have to go with my gut. And I get bored of my old decks. Sometimes I need to take a break, and that happens. I rotate my decks like they tell you to rotate toys for little kids, because you know how little kids get bored of toys and they're like, put them in a bin and put them away, and they'll forget about them and have them play with different chunks of toys. So I do that with my Oracle cards. I'll put some of them away, I'll forget about them, and then when I find them again, I'm like, oh, it's like a brand new deck. So if you're a hoarder of Oracle cards like I am, you can try that. Okay. I pulled the Wonders card. It looks like a beautiful amethyst point there, and then kind of like a galaxy in front of it. So from this card, I'm getting that we have a clear vision, we have a clear idea somewhere in our mind, in our consciousness of what we want, but it's getting clouded, it's getting obscured by sort of this energy. And this energy, I feel, has to do with what's going on in the world, other people's agendas, maybe sort of what we feel we should be doing instead of the things we really want to be doing. And it's not always possible to ditch everything in your life and just go out there and live your dreams. Like, that would be great, right? But it's a process. So it's recognizing that, but it's really important right now to not lose your focus on what you want, okay? If you've been working on something for a really long time and it's not happening, there can be a tendency to give up on it. And the sad thing is, people give up on stuff right before that moment they push through. And that's what faith is about. That's what having faith means. It means keep going forward even if you feel like you've lost the battle already. You know what I mean? This reminds me of a chess game. I was playing with a friend of mine who's really good at chess, and I super suck. And it looked at one point like I was just like, forget about it. The game was over. But because I know nothing about chess, like, we kept playing. And I ended up winning in the end, which was totally bizarre and a strange twist of fate. But I never would have thought that. I would have just given up on the game and been like, oh, obviously I did stupid moves here and I'm going to lose this game. But it totally turned around. So we don't always know. The key is, if you feel in your soul, if you really, really want something, if you really, really want to create something, you can't give up on it, okay? You just can't. You can take a break from it. You can take a time out from it. But please don't give up on your dreams. No matter how crazy they are, don't give up on your dreams, because that cloudy stuff, or the stuff that's preventing you from getting there, will release. It will eventually lighten up. And sometimes spirit kind of wants to kind of know if we're committed, okay? Especially with intuition development. I teach a shamanic journey program, and sometimes the first few journeys are frustrating for the students because they're like, I feel like I'm in a cloud and I'm not getting anything. But the more that they go, it's like spirit's like, okay, they're committed, they're showing up again, we're going to give them a bit more. So it's almost like an initiation, or like a trial. Like, you have to like show up and do the work, and then you get the reward. And it's a little bit like that in life sometimes too. So if it's really important to you, you have to fight for it. You can't give up on it. Okay, I know we're used to instant gratification with Amazon delivering stuff on our porch the day after, and everything's really fast and really quick and really easy sometimes. But sometimes the bigger things we have to work towards. We have to take baby steps, and we have to keep moving. And don't lose your focus on that thing if it's really important to you, okay? So keep trucking. All right, Universal Love. It's one of my favorite decks. I haven't gotten to it in a while. And I did tell this story in a past Tea and Tarot, but I'm going to tell it again because it's such a cool story. So I like taking groups to Glastonbury, England, and it's really depressing to me that we can't travel right now because I'm overdue to take a group there. But, and there's a hill there called the Tor that I love to walk up. I walk up it every day because I'm a crazy person. Even after we've hiked all day long, at the end of the day, I'm hiking up the Tor. And one day I went up a different way, and I just wandered, and I got lost. I got lost down in the forest below. But then I ended up having the coolest thing happen, where I found this tree that had been split in the middle by lightning, and it was like beautiful. It looked like two people dancing. And then I ended up coming to this tree, and on the tree was a heart, like a wooden plaque of a heart, like that somebody had put on the tree. And honest to God, when I saw this deck, I was like, it's the Glastonbury tree. So I love this deck. It's also a very good deck. The drawings are beautiful. It's by the same artist of the Magdalen Oracle, for those who haven't heard of it. And these bigger cards, like, sometimes they're a bit more money than the smaller decks. So at first I was like, do I want to spend that amount of money? And then I'm like, yeah, I'm glad I did. I would do it again. All right. Let's see. Ooh. Last time I pulled this one, some fun stuff happened. Oh, I'm kidding. Oh, God. Okay, so this doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get naked with somebody awesome. It is about connection, and it's about connecting to that part of yourself, that passionate, creative part of yourself. Okay, so if you feel like that's been put on hold, that energy is going to be flowing. And it may or may not be flowing with another person. But for those of you who are looking for love and you feel like, God, I've been single forever and I just, it's not happening, it's going to be happening. And also too, for those in a relationship and you're like, oh, my partner, like seriously, don't give up on them. Like this energy is going to be rekindled, and it's going to be rekindled because you're going to do that work on yourself, right? You're going to have more energy, more vitality, and that's just going to kind of spill out of you into your life and attract that to you. So even with your existing people. So this is a wonderful card of connection, of connecting to someone. It's not just sexual, even though I'm joking about that. It's not just physical. It's about connecting to someone deeply on that heart level where you feel like they know you. And I think for me, like in relationships, I think we're always just really looking for that person that knows us, that understands us and really knows us, like knows everything about us and still loves us anyway. Because I think really deep down, we're looking to do that for ourselves, to unconditionally love ourselves and unconditionally accept ourselves. When we do that, the people outside of us do that as well. But we go outside of ourselves looking for that validation or looking for that love. And really, we have to really start with working on that with ourselves, because you could have somebody giving that to you and you'll block it if you're not ready to receive, because if you haven't worked on that stuff. And again, it's a lifelong journey, right? I'm working on aspects of this myself too, but at least I'm aware of it now. I'm like, oh, I'm not receiving love right now. I wonder why. Oh, okay, maybe I need to do some inner work. So that card is about that energy, that vitality, that connection, that passion, the rekindling of something, or the something new coming in. So we'll find out in a couple weeks what happens there. It's going to be fun for some of you. All right, maybe I should grab the Romance Angels card since, we're going there. So for those of you who are, and I feel for the single people right now during COVID and everything, like dating, God, I don't even know. When I say single people, I'm kind of in that realm, like I'm not married anymore, but the single people who want to be unsingle. Let's just say that. Okay, worth waiting for. This was the Romance Angel card. So for those of you this is a message for those of you who have been struggling because you haven't found your person yet. Don't worry, you've got to have faith. They're coming. They're coming for you. You do have to take some effort. You can't just sit at home and wait for your perfect partner to come knock on your door. I mean, that rarely happens. But this message from Spirit is saying, listen, we know what you want because you've been very clear. You've probably been shouting at us about it. It's coming, but we've got to do some stuff on our end to bring that person to you. Or maybe you need to do some work on yourself before that person can come to you. Because maybe if they came to you now, it just wouldn't work because the timing's off. So divine right timing is at place, and there's nothing more frustrating than having to wait and having Spirit say, oh, just wait. Believe me, I know. It's my least favorite thing. But for those of you who are looking for love, just have faith. It's coming. Just keep doing what you're doing and keep just doing stuff in your life that you want to do. Because I will say this, I was married for very many years. When we're single, we want to be with someone, but when we're with someone, we want to be single, because when we're single, we can do whatever we want and we have all the time in the world to do everything. And then when you're with a partner, a lot of your energy and time is taken up with their stuff. And we forget that. So if you're single right now, make sure you do all the things that you want to do, like do them to death kind of thing. Because as soon as this person comes into your life, you're going to be like just, doing everything with them, which is fine. That's fun too. But I'm just saying, you know what I'm saying, right? Right? Okay. All right. How are we doing for time? I think we have time for another deck, and then we'll go to my angel cards that I've been ending with. So this is Ask Your Guides. Also a new deck. The cards are sticky. She's also written a book that's been out for a very long time. It's a great book for those who haven't read it. I might have a couple copies of it, actually. The cards are new to me, though. I didn't even know there was a card deck, so I don't know if the cards have been around for a while or are new. I just am sort of separating them a bit. Okay. Here we go. This is the one. Purpose, master teacher. A little bit what we talked about earlier. Sometimes there's times in your life when you can do things by yourself, and sometimes you need a guide, a mentor, a teacher, a friend, a helper, an assistant, because that can get you from A to B faster. You don't have to do that. You can do everything on your own, but there are times when if you do take that leap or take that chance, and you partner with that person, that you can get where you want to go faster. Okay? And this can also be in personal relationships too, like getting help from the person that you're in relationship with. But this card is about looking at where you want to go and figuring out where and when to get that help. And a good idea, or a good way to figure that out is when you get stuck. Okay, when you get stuck. So you're trying to do something or complete something or shift something in your life, and you get to a certain point and then you get stuck. And that's normal to get stuck, but can you get out of the stuckness? Can you get going again in the same way? If not, then that might be time to get a healer or a mentor or a teacher or a friend or somebody to help you get out of the ditch, and get going again. And once you get going again, you're on your way. So you might not need a lot of help. You might only need a tiny bit of help.